absent. Commissioner Bevel,
Here.
Commissioner Bond.
Here.
Okay. All right, well, we have a pretty long work session agenda tonight, but it's actually pretty basic when it boils down to it, I think. So we're gonna go ahead and let y'all start presenting. Thank you.
So the first 6 items are kind of paired. 1 and 2 are together, 3 and 4 are together, and 5 and 6 are together. And you'll see that here in a second. So the first one is for 2 lots off of John McCain. And what they're doing in this case is, those are the 2 lots there. They're actually, the piece of land to the right, they're 108, is going to be acquiring a little bit of land off of 7204. And so when that happens is it'll leave 7204 there just shy of the lot size for ag. So, and because 108 is R40, we're working with both of the property owners, and they're both requesting to be rezoned to the RE residential estate because they will meet the residential estate requirements.
Both different properties.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So those are the close-up of the properties there. And the one to the right there, again, the property line's gonna shift. Let me get to the plat. I'm getting ahead of myself. So it is here right now, the way the lot line is, and they are acquiring up to there. They wanted more room for their, I think they've got some horses, some land for their horses.
Both lots will be, they're requesting residential estate for both.
Keep going.
So one house?
They're, both properties have existing homes, one here and one here.
I saw that.
And they are not changing any of those structures. They're just shifting that lot
Shifting
line.
that land, okay.
And this is for the replat for that, which, this is just showing again where it is currently, and they're shifting it. So we have the rezoning ahead of the plat on the agenda. And it would be to rezone both of the properties to residential estate. Keep going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions?
Okay. This next is for property off of Glade Road, 218 Glade. This property has ag zoning right now, and it is not currently platted. And there's a structure all the way back there right now. What they're looking to do is, I think they're preparing in a similar way like off of Shelton, Mr. Grantland's piece of land, where they're just platting it and getting it ready, so if they want to sell it, it's makes it easier for them to do that. So it's about an acre, and it actually does not meet the lot width requirement. When we get to the platting piece, they're looking to rezone this piece to R40 as well. So it will meet the R40, it just won't meet that lot width. So when we get to the platting piece here in a second, which is right here, I'm gonna go through that. There we go. They're asking for a plat waiver for the lot width. The lot is the size that it is. It's 105. One more? Right there. 105 feet, and for an R40 you need 150.
150?
150. It's exactly, I mean, they're not making any changes, they're just trying to plat it, and the best way, the zoning district that it would fit in would be the R40, that it fits the most.
So I do have a little bit of history.
Go back to right there.
Yeah, so this property, it's a newer home. They went through the same rezoning and plat process. They actually asked for R20 on this lot, but because it had 40,000 square feet, City Council granted R40 and said, you're gonna have to come back with the plat waiver for the lot width.
Yeah.
And so that's really what we're just anticipating would happen anyway, so we're
Yeah.
just bringing it forward with R40 and then with the lot width plat waiver.
But it
Makes
looks
sense.
like this one has a lot less width than 216.
I don't remember, I don't think this was more than maybe 108 or 109. We can double check, but it wasn't that much wider. I think it appears wider on this, but I don't really think it was much wider.
So this is something kind of we've orchestrated
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the history on this
facilitate
one.
their need.
Exactly.
So, okay, so,
The idea is if it was R20, then maybe if somebody were to acquire and combine multiple properties, and then you'd have 20,000 square foot lots instead of 40,000 square foot lots as they exist today. And so by going to the R40 district, it would help eliminate
that
possible
possibility,
option, yeah.
okay.
And what is the width requirement for R30?
That one requires 125, so it still wouldn't even meet the width for that.
And this next case is, there we go. So I jumped ahead to 304 West Glade. This is just down the street. They're trying to do the same thing, where they are asking to rezone to the R40, and the lot size does not meet the lot width, just like 218. You can see 218 there and 304.
So this is just two properties to the west.
This is 104 feet rather than 150. So again, they're asking for a plat waiver for that. It's a very similar thing. They're trying to do the same thing where they're just preparing it to see if they can sell at some point in the future.
So if a lot does not meet the requirements for a R20, R40, and they want to plat it, do you have to get a waiver and pick one? Like, what do you do when it doesn't fit in any of those? It doesn't meet the requirements for any of them, and they want to plat it. What are your options?
Yeah, it is a rezoning. And the way that we're looking at it is, it makes more sense to go with the zoning where they meet the lot area and then do the plat waivers for the other elements. We feel that that's the desire of the council for that same reason, rather than maybe inadvertently encouraging a combination of properties so then you have smaller lot sizes. They'd rather keep the existing lot dimensions for the area and then just deal with plat waivers for the other dimensional deficiencies.
Okay.
So the
you have to
area,
pick one.
but the area meets the requirement, it's
Right.
just the width.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody understand that? Yep.
Keep going? Okay, so this next case is for a special use permit for an accessory dwelling for the property located at 6009 Westco Drive. It currently has R40 zoning, it's there with the red. I'm gonna get into a little history here. So there is an existing home and they have, jumping ahead. To get an accessory dwelling in the R40, you have to ask for an SUP, which is what they're doing. And then this just shows the development code information, which you've seen this a number of times now. Okay, so they have a 20,000 square foot lot size. They're allowed, their 20% there is the 9,004. However, they did achieve and ask for a lot coverage variance, which they were approved in 2018. I think it was July of 2018. And then the 4% for an accessory building size is 108 square feet. They are asking for a garage of 387 square feet garage, which is attached to the current home, and then that accessory dwelling component as well, 534 square feet, so they're just under that 25% for lot coverage. And in the R40, it is a 20% lot coverage that's allowed. So this just shows, this was the approved variance, so you can see the home that was under construction and then the addition with the garage and the caretaker suite. The information given to us, the homeowner that lives there is in a situation where they need to have an at-home caretaker. And so that's why they're pursuing this. And this is just a floor plan showing that structure. And it is attached to the house as well. But because an accessory dwelling requires an SUP, that's why they're asking for permission to have that. It does meet the setbacks, it meets the size, it's not a big structure.
If I can just add some clarification, so the building is there, this is really just to finish it out. They had the idea that in the future, the homeowner was going to need the in-home care. And so the plan was for it all along to be a separate caretaker suite, but they weren't sure of the timing on it, and so they just went through the variance process. Now is the time where they know that they will need it, and so they're asking for the dwelling component.
So they're only asking for an increase of 5% on lot coverage, is that really?
Well, that's already been approved.
Oh, that was
And so
approved.
what is labeled as proposed addition is now built.
Yeah.
So now it's being able to utilize that area that they've always planned for the caretaker suite to truly be.
So that was
finished
already
out.
included in the original.
But they aren't the authorizing body to approve the SUP, so now they're going through it. So it's more of a timing issue.
Okay.
We're at the time to where they're ready to finish it out as a suite.
Yeah.
And so that's the purpose for this SUP.
If it's attached to the house, is it still an accessory dwelling or just an
Well,
addition?
It is attached, so it's not a detached structure. The way that we define accessory dwellings, it's just any standalone dwelling, and it can be attached or over a garage or even a completely separate structure. But as a secondary unit, dwelling unit, it all falls under accessory dwelling.
Any other questions?
Can I see the actual picture of the house again? So they almost have like a little courtyard there.
Yeah.
It's a 19,000 square foot lot,
Just at 20,000,
20,000.
but it has R40 zoning. Pass this to them.
So our next item is a land development code change. This is for CBD stores. We've had several requests for these types of uses to come in. And so I did take this item to a city council work session, I think back in January, and they gave us a direction to go forward with these amendments. So as we were looking at these types of uses, we wanted to see where they might fit and be appropriate within our city. And I'll show you here in the next slide. It will be a special use permit request in our CC2 and CC3 districts. But as part of this, we wanted to make sure that we had a definition of what a CBD store is. It's basically where any of their sales are based on products that are related to or derived from the CBD oil or hemp. And we have not an all-inclusive, but a pretty good list of the different types of items that include CBD oils. This was, last year there was a lot of conversation about whether the state was going to authorize it or not, and then the state did allow it, but then certain counties were able to do their own enforcement on it. Tarrant County for a long time was not allowing it, but I guess that's also been changed. So it is something that is allowed. there's something to do with the level of THC that's in it. So it's an extremely low dose, I guess, to that. Anyway, all that to say is that we have requests for them to come in. So the city council looked at it, and essentially what we'll be doing is adding the listed use in our permitted use chart. And then, as you can see, special use permit for just the CC2 and CC3 districts, which mostly are found on our corridors. It would be the little bit lighter shade of red. So there's several locations where they could work. Over here off 121, and then even precinct line as well. Now, so far, I've only provided the definition and the districts with the SUP request. If you feel that there's any specific regulations that you want to include in, we can do that, but City Council did not provide any additional comments in relation to that. That might be maybe a maximum number within a certain shopping center, or even a distance requirement between the individual stores. It's not necessary, it's just something I'm bringing up in case you felt that it might be appropriate. So you can start thinking about it. Any questions on this?
So dosage does not include any kind of prescription drugs? Prescription
Right,
oils?
this would not be the prescription part.
It's not the prescription products.
No, because those will still be regulated as a medicine. This is all the other things that, I mean, I'm
They are
hearing that they even
regulated
put it
as
in dog food now
medicine,
too.
but they are very controlled dispensing and all those
Yeah.
further effects. But this is like you go to Walmart and buy whatever you want to buy.
Right. Yeah, so like, I think that's related to the
Right.
level of THC. It has to be below, I can't remember what that is, but the state regulates that, and if you want to have more than that, it's gonna have to fall under the prescriptions that your doctor can do, and it would be dispensed from a pharmacy, or I guess that's where it would be dispensed, but anyway, this is not for those types of products. This is truly your oils and your vitamins and other things like that.
Should we
Candles.
consider some sort of language about selling smokable goods?
So that also.
I don't
is
know, I'm not real super versed in all this, I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
I'm just making sure we're not opening up a smoke shop here in town or something, you know?
right, and as far as I know, it does not include any of that either. I think that's also regulated separately.
Okay.
Well, I guess I will verify that with our
I'm just
city
saying, like,
attorney.
Well,
could you
because
come
it-
into town and open up a cigar and tobacco shop without a SUP right now? And I'm just worried about, you know what I mean?
I
The vaping
don't
and
think
all
that
that?
you can, I think that's a non-permitted
Right.
use.
If somebody's coming in to buy some oil for their back or what, I totally get that. I'm concerned about the protecting of the neon signs that say smoke shop. You know what I mean?
Well,
If
see
we're
what
gonna do
that
this, we need to do
says?
it the right way.
Products related to or derived from CBD oil, or hemp, and maybe
Yeah, see, I'm not sure.
excluding,
Smokables.
well, or, topical or,
Category, we don't,
Yeah,
we
Well,
don't have a
if
category,
you say
so it's
food,
violation.
it opens another Pandora, because something
Yeah.
is food for me, not for other people.
I've seen these. I saw one in
gummy
Grapevine.
bears, they put
They're
them
very
in-
clean, nice looking facilities. Looks like they sell the gummy bear and maybe the oil or whatever. I totally get that. Any,
don't want any.
what?
But we don't want any.
Yeah.
I suppose because this is a special use permit, no matter what,
Yeah, it's still coming to us.
still comes to
Okay.
you and then going to council,
But
so.
we'll still definitely need to think about,
Yeah.
terminology there.
All right, so, definitely if you have any other ideas that you come up with after tonight's meeting, you can let me know. All right, next item, this is, second land development code amendment. This one is specific to sidewalks. This is found in chapter 9, so 9.21 specifically. This also is related to action from the city council. Even before that, there was an ad hoc sidewalks committee that was put together, and they reviewed our sidewalk policy, which currently, as it reads in the land development code, is that sidewalks are required on all street frontages for all projects. There was a map that identified throughout the whole city where sidewalks would be required and where they would not be required. But I think that was done away with in about 2014. I guess there's been some different projects where it was questionable whether a sidewalk truly should be required or not. So this ad hoc committee was created. They went through, proposed a policy, then that went on to city council, and they went through the whole thing and also made changes. And I think it was in September or October of last year, the city council adopted the new sidewalk policy as well as a new map, which now we can look at the map and it will say whether a sidewalk's required, and it's specific to sides of the street as well. So we now have all of that, and so what this effort is really is just to put it into the land development code. So this will replace what we have now with the policy that the city council created and adopted. And I have all these slides in here. I'm not really going to go through it, but essentially, for new development, there is still a requirement that you put a sidewalk on both sides of the street. That's for new streets. But then where we have existing homes, then it will, or homes on existing streets, might be a tear down rebuild or even an empty lot on an existing street. Then we refer to that map that they updated last year. There's a couple exemptions. Also talks about master thoroughfare plan. We do have certain streets that are planned for being reconstructed here soon. So if your property's on one of those streets, there might be a way to delay or just provide a payment, and then as the city redevelops the street, then they'll build the sidewalks at that time. that's
So
what
it's
this is
still the
really talking
escrow,
about.
it's still the escrow for people.
It won't
who
be an
put
escrow,
those-
it'll just be, we'll estimate the cost of what it would more than likely take to build the sidewalk. You make that payment, and then you're done. The city will then take all responsibility for building it in the future as they rebuild the road. So
Okay.
Glade Road,
So it's like escrow in a way, except you're not gonna get it back. It's gonna go
Yes.
into the city's fund for sidewalks.
the other difference is with the escrow, you don't have to use it for specific projects. It could be citywide now, but it previously was within one of 6 different districts. But
Slush fund.
these are now specifically for those projects,
Okay.
the master thoroughfare plan project. Just language about repairs, replacement, or maintenance of existing sidewalks, standard design standards that we have. And then there still is a waiver or variance request process. If you get the variance approved, you're still paying into the sidewalk fund. But this is the process that they created to go through that. And then we do have a few sidewalks where they have been installed with new homes, but maybe now the map is saying you don't need a sidewalk on that side of the street. So this is a process to where that sidewalk could be removed, potentially. And then the funding is to help pay for sidewalks as shown on the new map. this paragraph actually does not change, and then we've just identified that we do have a map that will be kept on record, kept by record on file with the city secretary or city designee. I think our department will keep a copy, Public Works Department will also keep a copy, so it's not just gonna be with the city secretary.
I have a question also.
Yeah.
Why is, can you go back to that? The remediation. Why would we allow removal of an existing sidewalk? Under what circumstances would that even be an option?
Yeah,
None
so-
of your neighbors will have it.
Right, we have a few situations where there was a tear down and rebuild, and the policy today, or I guess I'll still say today, is you need to put a sidewalk in for any new projects. On the old map, it was identified to not have a sidewalk there, and even on our new map, it might also show you don't need a sidewalk on that side of the street. So that will be the only sidewalk on that side of the street here on out. So if that is the case, if you want to go through this request process, you can ask and the city will review it, and if it makes sense, you could remove the sidewalk.
But it would be your expense.
I believe so.
Property owner shall be responsible for all removal and restoration.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, that's good. I see
So,
that.
yeah, it would still be the responsibility of that property owner to go through the
Okay.
process.
Okay, I get it.
And this is the updated map. I know it's hard to see right here, but orange would be where an existing sidewalk exists, and then green would be where we expect sidewalks to be. And then where you don't have orange or green, then there is no sidewalk required at all. And like I was saying before, it is site specific, so you might show it on one side and not another side of the same street. But we have a copy of this in our office already. I know our Public Works office similarly has a copy. So really, this is just to take that policy that was approved and put it into the land development code in the appropriate.
You're not looking for us to mark this up?
No.
Okay.
City Council's gone through that
Yeah.
already. This is what they want.
You bet.
Tonight, you need to mark that up.
Heard
tonight.
that.
Yeah. Anyway, but it is an interesting policy. I think it's a good policy, and so I would definitely read it so that you're familiar with it. You have a copy of the map as well, so you can look at that. That being said, if you did come across something that made sense to modify, you can either bring that to us, and then we can go to the city manager's office and see what they think, or you can talk to any of your council member friends and see what they think.
Moving right along.
Just saying. All right.
Okay.
We actually do have one more item, which is, really it's just so that we can remind everybody that our next scheduled meeting is not until March 23rd, due to spring break. And so we wanted to remind everybody of that. And that will be a work session as well as the regular meeting for all of these items that we just discussed with you.
March 23rd, okay. Do we have an updated calendar by any chance for this year?
Yes, and I can provide you that.
I would love to have it,
Sure.
thank you.
Does anyone else need a printed copy of the calendar?
I'll take a copy.
Okay, we'll probably email it to everybody, but then we'll have a printout for you guys at the March 23rd.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
So no work session in March?
We will have the work session. We're gonna do it, pretty much what we're doing tonight, we're gonna have to do the same thing in March, on the 23rd. So our next submittal for new cases is March 9th. So whatever we get on that day, you will see on March 23rd in the work session. We won't go over these items again until we present it in our regular meeting. We'll move over into the council chambers and do that.
Awesome. So we're gonna close here?
Yep.
All right. This meeting is adjourned.